Hey everybody, and welcome to today's From Boxes to Butterflies. It's been a wild couple of weeks. It's been a wild month of March. So it's wonderful to see everybody here. Make sure you participate in the comments. And there's just so much energy today. I kind of got it when I woke up, went through a couple of things, energy started kicking up, and it's just been going. In terms of announcements, some of the things. So I talk about one of my sisters because there was some issues, family health issues. I don't go into details, but I bring this up because, well, in Danielle's case, and she's one of the sweetest ladies I know, and they had some issues, or something happened with her husband, and while he's okay, it affects them greatly. But she's not the only one. So here, this is a way to help out, because she's part of our community. This is a way to help out if you can, but there's more ways to help out than just donating. I mean, it's touching base, seeing how she's doing. But this is also a message to think about others who are in your life. Anybody who's gone through something, and maybe everybody was there cheering them on, or there to provide help at the beginning when it happened. But over time, it kind of slacks, people start disappearing. And yet those who, whatever it is that's going on, it's still going on. It doesn't stop for them. So just kind of keep them in mind and think about who maybe it's time for you to check in on. I don't want anybody to be left behind. Then I would be remiss if I don't mention our #1 international best-selling book, 27 authors. The souls of each of these authors goes into their chapter. This book has hit #1 in 5 countries on 3 different continents. It's been an amazing story. And like I said, you've got the souls of each individual is in their story, yet the book is also a story. So the book has its own soul that's made up by the 27 souls that you see right here. Take a chance to pick up your copy. It's only going to be available as a paperback on book for just a few more days. Then it's going to go down. I think midnight on Sunday it will go down. But it's coming back. And part of that coming back is we're working on the process to move beyond Amazon. We're looking to get it into bookstores, into other places. So here's a chance to get these amazing stories, because I know there's many out there that when you read these stories, you're going to take something away. And it may be just the story that you need to move beyond whatever boundaries have been holding you back. And when I talk books, these are some of mine. And I bring these up because, one, we have Beyond Boundaries right there in the bottom corner. The other 3 are my solo books. The first one, Faith of the Butterfly, is my reinvention memoir. It's by Urano Publishing, so that one's traditionally published. The other 2, the Armor of God series, this story, it really falls into what I talk about all the time, which is move beyond boxes and shine, to finally step out in the light and be your authentic self. That's what this story is. The main character, he may be the eldest prince, yet it's his younger brother who is the heir apparent. And the younger brother leads a quest that the main character has to basically be under him. Yet it becomes his own quest to find the box really that he's been stuck in, and to realize that he doesn't have to be stuck there anymore. And so it's his journey of going beyond boxes and shining as his authentic self. Then I want to bring up, because the same person I did the anthology with is the same one who helped me get into these publications. My dear sister CJ, Dr. Constance Leland. I kind of call her a publicity maven, and she's got ways to get people into magazines, discounts, because a lot of these magazines, it's a pay to play. And we often sit back and go, how am I supposed to get in? Well, she loves discounts. And so she had a deal that would get people into 5 magazines for a significantly reduced price. And I took her up on it. And now I've been in a number of magazines, and you can see them across the border, the bottom of the screen: Auspreneur, Mentors, Digital Journal, the Australia Business Review, Business Journal, and last week it came out on Medium. So 5 places. When it comes to publicity, she knows what she's talking about. And speaking of the two of us, we did the announcement this morning on her show, and I will bring it up here. We're getting ready to start a new anthology. This one, we're still the same tag team that we were on the previous one. This time, though, it is Moving Beyond Boxes, the Journey to Self-Discovery. This really aligns with everything I talk about. To move beyond boxes, it's that, what did it take to be your authentic self? To maybe you've always known who you were, but you needed a catalyst. You needed that self-discovery that you could be who you've always been meant to be. So we'll be talking more on this. The deal is the same as with hers. And please reach out to either of us, to CJ or myself, if you're interested. We would love to have you in, and let's talk about your story. But for now, I think I've talked enough. I want to bring on one of the amazing authors from Beyond Boundaries. Her story, it was an amazing tale. It was amazing journey of her own. And now I get to talk with her and get to learn more about her. And here she is. It's great.
Hello,
So happy to have you here.
oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And I'd love to just kind of have you start off talking a little bit about yourself. And it's like whatever you want that brings you up to what you're doing now. So everybody kind of knows where you're coming from and what are you doing now.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for having me on here, Susanna. Well, everyone, I got the pleasure to meet CJ at a Barnes and Noble, which is crazy. We were sitting next to each other. She's got her books, I got my books, and we just started talking over Animal Crossings, of all things. The video game, I'm sure you guys have heard of it. So my kids love video games, and we just connected and we started talking and got to know each other. And she told me what she does, and I told her what I do, and we connected. And then I got the pleasure to meet Susanna, and I took one of her writing courses, which was amazing, right before we wrote the anthology, which for me is my first actual publication out there. I've somewhat written my book, but I need refinement. So it's been sitting on my desk for probably 6 years. And I think now I'm ready to get it done or get it going to a point where it's ready to be released. Where I come from, let's go as far back as I always laugh. I say I'm imported goods. I am originally from Europe and then from former Yugoslavia, which is Serbia. My dad's Macedonian, mom's Serbian. So lived in Canada, which is amazing for not the snow. For the, not the snow. Hence why I'm here in California now. Canada was amazing because the schooling there was great. I loved going to school there. We learned so much and graduated college there and then moved to California. And I've been here since, well, I can't say that. I've moved to Florida. I've moved to Geneva, Switzerland. I've been to a few places, but I always keep coming back to San Diego. You can't beat the weather, but everywhere else is beautiful. I love to travel. Throughout my life, I always had people come to me for advice, and I'm thinking, I don't have the answers. Like, why are you asking me? What that prompted me to do is I felt people believe enough in me to ask me for advice. I should go find out. So what I changed from saying, I don't know, to, oh, that's an interesting situation you're in. Let me go find out. So what that made me do is go and study. And as you can see behind me, I have oodles of books. I think I got more studying and more reading done after school because you're not forced to read.
Right.
So, yes, everyone's like, have you read all those books? Yes, I have. So I read crazy all year, anywhere between 30 and 40 books. And I love to read all kinds technology, what's new. AI is the next thing on the hot seat for technology. I read about science. I read about medical. I read about psychology. So a lot of things. What did I study in school? I studied business. However, I desperately wanted to study psychology. My parents being from a foreign country, two things. One, they felt that we needed to go into business because that's where the money is. And being a doctor would cost them a lot of money to put me through school. So I was like, no,
Right.
you're going to go make money. So, but when your purpose and your calling pulls you, you can't stop it. And I
Yeah.
always loved studying people and I would always analyze. And it was just something I did naturally. And I do believe that we are gifted with a certain set of tools to allow us to pick our purpose. And the calling is always there. And if we all sit very quietly and truly go deep, our calling is actually screaming, going, do this. This is what you're meant for. And
Yep.
right. And if we listen to that voice instead of the, no, you can't do it. No, you're no. We need to tell that little voice that's so critical of us, as we all know how critical we can be of ourselves, is to say, thank you for sharing. However, when we pause, I'd like to listen to the other voice that's a dreamer. So I didn't know as I was growing up that that was my calling. I just felt, everyone's like, why are you telling people what to do? And why are you always talking to people? And why are you always this? And I always thought that was the wrong thing. So I would always play small, right? Or if I had to
Right.
talk to somebody, I would say, can we do this after school or can we do this later? Because if you had an audience, again, you're in the same age group, right? They're not going to want you to know more than them. Trust me, that never changes no matter what age you are and what group you're in, unless you're just a little side note. So I always had to hide my gift, right? I always had to hide to be confident enough to give what I'm actually feeling inside for somebody and help them. But later on, you find out that what you gave someone actually made a difference. And,
Yeah.
when that happens, you're like, I should continue this. So, long story short, I pursued that study of mine on my own. I always did it on my own. I always had clients. And then eventually I turned it into a business. Now, I got married, had children. For me to run a full-blown business on what I love to do was a challenge. One, money. Two, time management. And three, being in a circle of family and friends that never did what I'm pursuing to do made it a little harder. Very hard. So every time my mother would come into my room, she's like, "What are you doing?" "I'm reading." "You're reading. Look at the mess in your room. Clean it up." So it's always like that needs to be done, and then you can read. Reading is not a necessity. So battling through that, I pursued it. I would read in the middle of the night. I would do all that. So I learned from people past, the greats that have passed. And what I found in my 30 plus years of experience today, going through life happenings, right? You're like, okay, my kids are old enough. They're in school. I can start a business. I can do this. I can do that. No, God had a different plan. The man I was married to at the time really needed to be taken away because he wasn't to be privileged with what I had in me. He didn't see it. So when you get married at the age of 19, what do you know? I turned 20 the next day or yeah, the next month. So very young. What do you know at that time? Not very much. So as you're growing into this marriage, you start to drift when you don't have an alignment and similar goals. So, unfortunately, or fortunately, there's good and bad. I had a really long 10-year divorce. And from that divorce, I was able to really use all my teachings or all my learnings and all my knowledge, how to be still, how to be centered, how to not react but respond. So whoever is up there, there is a higher source. I call mine God, but this is not has nothing to do with religion, but there is a higher source out there. I was always guided to seek, and I'll find. So I found answers, and the answers were you tell them once, you tell them twice, you tell them 3 times. After the 3rd time, shame on you to tolerate. So the divorce went through. He's a very brilliant man for a specific task that he was born to do. And he was very data oriented, anything human, anything. He's wonderful friends with computers, wonderful friends with, all that. He does very well with that. Having a family was a challenge for him. And I thank him for coming into my life, really, because he challenged me to my core, right? Because here I'm helping so many people. I'm like, why am I not getting rid of this man? What is going on? So when your kids come up and say, Mom, you need to leave him. And I'm like, all right, big step. So you take that big leap, and being left as a single mom to raise 2 daughters, one in college, one in high school, it's a big task. And now I had to put my dream aside. I had to go work in corporate America. I choose to do everything with excellence. So if I was going to do something, like I tell people, if you're going to flip burgers, be the best one there. Like if you're going to sweep floors, be the best floor sweeper, and be honored that you have a job. There's so many out there that don't. And so I went to work for corporate America and climbed that ladder. And I learned so much. Like, I'm so grateful for that company. I learned so much on so many levels to see how I'm going to open my business. So shortly after I got that job, because it was a job, I was working for somebody, I ended up with a brain aneurysm in the hospital for 21 days in a coma. I think, again, divine intervention. I was full force, 10,000 miles an hour. And I love to race cars, but it was just like nonstop. And someone up there said she needs a break, because I was going in eyes wide open, right? Going through a divorce, climbing corporate ladder, taking care of 2 children, having minimal money. Money was frozen. I have properties, but I couldn't live in those properties because they weren't where I wanted to live and where my kids were going to school. So a lot of things were happening. And then being in a family who's absolutely loving, absolutely supportive, but they don't think like I do. And it was hard for them to understand my path. And they were very patient. They were very understanding, but they couldn't really help, right? They could just be there for me. So I just busted and took a nap. And 21 days, don't get me wrong, I needed a break. I wish it was a spa week, but
I get it. I totally get it.
but I would never treat myself, right? That's the other thing. to understand. We don't take care of ourselves because we're so busy taking care of everything else and everybody else. And that day will come. Well, that day almost never came for me because I could have died that day. And I survived something that a small percentage of people survive. And those who do survive have major setbacks. I have zero setback. I'm so grateful and so thankful. In fact, I came back a little bit stronger than I was before. And that comes with the calling that I was meant to do. My job wasn't done.
Yep.
So coming back, you look at things differently, and you're like, I think this was God's way of telling me to take care of me. So what I did from that point was shifted. I took care of my children, made sure they were living their life's purpose and calling, encouraging them, and then working on myself. And everyone, the toughest job you will ever do in life is the inside job. I've worked with thousands of clients that come with an array of challenges. My business, my kids, my husband, my wife, my friends, my yada yadas, my health, the common denominator here is inside job. You have to go to the root of where that was born. And you need to shift. You need to make a transition. I was divorced for 13 years before I met my current husband, who's absolutely amazing. Thank you. Thank you, God. What you have to do is, I've had women or men come to me and I'm like, I'm in another relationship that's similar to the one I had. I mean, yes, she may look different or he may look different features, different body types, different eye color, but the lesson is the same. And the challenge with that is the lesson gets harder every time you don't embrace the lesson, go through the lesson, learn the lesson, and make some adjustments and alignments. So when everyone's like, you need to start dating, you're too young to be single, da, 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 that wonderful voice in your head and your friends and family. And you're like, no, I'm going to build my dream business that I've always wanted to build. And I'm going to make a lot of money, help the needy, help people who are hungry, clothe people who need shelter. Yep. That was my purpose. And of course, set my children up for success by teaching them how to do financial literacy. They need to learn how to do their finances, how to save their money. You start at 25, and there's a book, I forgot which book I read. It's called The Starbucks Effect. You put $5 away for every time you're going to buy a Starbucks, you will be a millionaire. $1.8 million will be in your bank by the time you're 62. And everyone's like, no, do the math. So I'm teaching my kids how to be financially set and free, but also how to be very humble and how to contribute to society. So right. I was just living a normal life, recuperating from my, trauma, climbing the corporate ladder, living my life. And, again, divine setup. The man I married happened to have been in my community for 10 years. I've seen him. I never got the pleasure to meet him. And one day I was friends with his cousin, I still am, and we were at an event and everyone was again, you need to get married and you need to, and I just had enough. And I'm like, you find me Rambo, Arnold Schwarzenegger, 007, MacGyver, someone successful, somebody who's confident and strong and powerful, and who's going to understand my crazy, stuff, and who loves to race cars and rock and roll music and operas. And I made the impossible list, absolute impossible list.
Exactly.
And they looked at me, and she comes up to me and she's like, well, you kind of know who he is. Or I go, honey, if I would have known exactly if I saw someone that fit that description. Sure enough, I kid you not, everything I asked, because you have to ask to receive, right? There was this little important piece I missed. I was working corporate America, and I had a team of 30 coaches that worked under me. and I was their coach. So I coached them to teach people how to grow businesses in real estate investing and how to grow themselves and all that stuff. And one of the ladies who came in, she was 64 years old, and I hired her. And she was always grateful to me for hiring her at that age. Are you kidding? She's a walking encyclopedia. Of course you're going to hire somebody like that. And she came up to me one day very angry, slamming her hands on my desk. And she's like, you need to get married. You can't be single. And I'm looking at her going, someone's going to get fired today, because my whole office was glass. So everybody was like, what's going on over there? And, you know, I think that's what I needed to hear. And she's like, you're asking for the impossible, so you never meet anyone. I go, you got that right. And she says, why? I go, because I'm done with being married and being with somebody. So that prompted me to create an actual impossible list, because I looked up and I go, all right, you gave me challenges. My turn. I was like, game on. And I said to him, I go, I'm going to ask for the impossible. I want my kids to love him. I want him to love my kids. I want my family to love him, my friends. I honestly believed that I created an impossible list that no one could fulfill. Never challenge the big guy, because not only will he fulfill it, he will take it through the finish line and show off. It's like,
Of course.
so to fast forward to today, I don't want to keep, rambling on stuff, but there's a lot of nuggets in my life. Fast forward to today, he's an amazing, wonderful man. And yes, he does look like Rambo, Arnold Schwarzenegger put together. He's still building, he's 70 years old. He just turned 70 this year. You would never tell. He's still bodybuilding. He's still, when you look at a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger and those guys, he's in that category. He's not giving up. And he was the rock I was looking for. He was my support. He was my breath of fresh air. And he's like, God, you know so much. He goes, why haven't you opened your business? And I said, well, let me tell you, life happenings, right? And he goes, how about you do it? And I looked at him and I'm like, what? And then, of course, the big guy, right? He's like, just looking down. Okay, I got it. So long story short, I've launched my official business last year. Now I come with 30 plus years of experience, and I've worked with everybody from all ranges, from professional sports to celebrities to high profile. I mean, I've worked with so many people. I wish I could put some of them as my testimonials, but privacy is very important. So I did that all on my own without really having a business, just a minimal client list that really made great income for me. But now I've come to a point where I have someone who supports me, and I think I need to reach the masses. And really my focus in life is not to amass to all this money. Money is not my focus. Money is a byproduct of you doing the right thing. My focus truly is to educate and infuse as much knowledge that I was compiling for the past 30 years in a smaller, short of time, and deliver it to those who need it. And there isn't a client that I wasn't able to help. There isn't a client that came to me that we couldn't find solutions. And and I don't want clients to stay with me forever. Like, that's not the goal. The goal is maximum 1 year. 1 year is, and I'm talking pushing it. Okay. 1 year is you will have all the tools. Let me back it up. We all have the tools. We have all the answers in here. Okay. There's nothing external that's going to give you anything that you don't already hear. The only thing external can bring out what you have in here. It'll bring out what you don't even know is in there. And so my goal is to really give all I've got, all my knowledge, all my wisdom to whoever needs to hear it, and possibly then create a ripple effect. I would love for whoever I help to create a ripple effect and help others down the line. We're in a really tough time right now. We came out of a pandemic. A lot of people are stuck. A lot of people, you need to be around people to see different things, to see how other people are navigating. our times right now. And if I can be that voice, right, I can be that voice. And thank you to a degree, COVID, because it created for humanity to be creative, to look what we're doing today. We're able to do with technology and reach many people today and be able to meet amazing people online and who are like-minded. I just attended an event which was phenomenal, and within that event there was 60,000 attendees via Zoom. 60,000. We're talking
Wow.
Australia, France, Switzerland, Canada, like all over the world. And there was a group created, we all had our rooms. And I think the room that I was in was 20,000 people. And we created a thread, and now it's a community, and thank you, COVID, for making us creative to be able to create these communities and reach out. So that's what it's all about. I always tell everyone, listen, newsflash or not, none of us are getting out of here alive.
Would be
We have to. I've never, and the other thing is stuff. Yeah, that's great to have stuff, and it's great to have money, and it's great to have all that. It's what you do with it, because I've never seen a U-Haul truck follow a hearse anywhere. We we can't take it with us. So use it while it's here. Let me tell you, the higher source, universe, God, whatever we want to call it, they tell you, go ahead, get your Lear jet, get your yacht, get your whatever luxury means to you, go for it. But be humble. Help those in need. If you if you can buy a jet that's $20 million, what can you do with that $20 million? How many people can you help? How many communities can you contribute to? So make your purpose valuable. Make your calling come out and attach a different goal. Why do you want to do this? Well, I want to touch the lives of others. And my little tagline, that took, by the way, forever to figure out because I didn't know how to one sentence all that I wanted to. And it's called I change lives and transform hearts. And that's really what it is. When someone's stuck, what do they want? Change. When someone is down and things are not working and you're hitting a wall, don't keep doing the same thing. Change. It's important. And if you don't know how, seek advice. There's books, there's people like us, there's so much out there that you can tap into. The internet is vast. You're meant to be here for a reason. Every single one of us. We have no one has the same fingerprint, and just to kick it up a notch, no one has the same tongue print. We are all unique. We are all unique, and every single one of us are here. I always tell people when, usually it's the younger generation who are like, and I said, well, look, you got two choices: be a good example or be a really good bad example. Which one do you want? So we're all just walking each other home, and we might as well enjoy the journey. And for me, I was very blessed to be able to meet CJ, to be able to meet Susanna, to be able to be part of this amazing anthology book, which is, I'll just say this. If any of you have not done this, and do it, because a collective project like this is so rewarding. I can't even explain it. And I was sitting here going, my God, I can't even finish my book, but I was quick to complete my edition in here, which means it was always nice to be encouraged, to be part of a team, to be part of like-minded people. So find that. When you find like-minded people, it'll give you the courage to then find people who do things better than you, who are smarter than you, who are already doing what you are desperately wanting to do at a really high level. Pick their brain. Pick their brain. People are like, well, how am I going to pick, Elon Musk's brain? I can't have an interview with him. No, you can't. Well, you can. Let's put it that way. Anyone can. However, read his books, listen to his seminars, listen to his speeches. That's still learning from the masters, or from anyone. Tesla, he's gone. He's not even here, right? He wrote all kinds of stuff. Read his stuff. Or anyone. the greatest doctors, the greatest psychologists, the greatest painters, the greatest artists. Whatever your calling is, find out who does it at a high level or who did it at a high level. Study them.
Well,
Study.
that was one of the things that I loved about history, because
Mhm.
I was a diplomatic historian.
Oh,
So
nice.
going into the foreign relations of the US, going into those primary documents just to build on what you're saying, it's then to see how it speaks to you.
Yes.
Because that's the other thing. If you read somebody else's interpretation, that's how it spoke to them. But when you read it yourself, that's how it speaks to you.
Right.
And that was what I loved about Cold War history. You look at some of this stuff and they go in cycles. It's because groups, they want to interpret it one way, or they allow it to just flow one
Yeah.
way.
No, it's true. I mean, you know, failure, success, history leaves little morsels of clues. It's all there. And you're absolutely right. I'm so grateful that we do have books, and I'm grateful that we live in the country that we live in, that we can buy any book we want and have access to them. And think about that freedom. I mean, that in itself is a blessing. And so that's my life in a nutshell. I mean, now I'm just living out my calling and my purpose, and very open to where that's going to lead me.
Well, and that's the fun part now, is it's open and you know that it's coming and you're doing stuff already.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, whoever wants to start their own business, starting a business is simple. It's just not easy. That's all. It's just, it's a very simple procedure. It's just not easy. And, you've got to listen. You got to do the things that others don't want to do, so that one day you could enjoy the things others wish they could. So
Right.
it's it's just a very simple formula. Put in the work. And here's the other thing: the universe, God, whatever we want to, how we want to address that, you're not going to be doing something where it's going to take you to a dead end. It's not. Whatever work you put in, it's going to either bring somebody to you that's going to say, hey, psst, did you think of this? And you're going to be like, huh, no. And there it goes. You've got to put things out so that the universe knows. You have to know why. Why are you doing it? The who and the how show up when you do the work. Trust me, I met CJ at Barnes and Noble. Was I looking for CJ? Did I go in there looking for somebody? No, we were just
Nope.
there reading books on a Sunday. I think it was. It was a Sunday afternoon. She'll probably
I
remember.
think it was because she called me afterwards.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, we just I had no intention. I love books and I love Barnes and Noble, and we just happened to be there. But guess what? I was on a mission I asked questions. I go, all right, podcasts. I need to find a good mic. I need to find this because the mic that I have doesn't work. And who shows up? One of the amazing podcasters that she is, amazing person that she is. And then it just, the who showed up. Now together we're doing the how, right?
Yep.
And today with you, we're doing the how. So believe that it can happen. Believe that it's there for you, and it's waiting for you to ask. And there's nothing more fulfilling than when you see somebody reach their goals. And I mean, I get phone calls from people I talked to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and they're still calling me, hey, got to tell you what happened. Oh my God, this was amazing. Like all of these beautiful stories. And of course they want to try to give you credit, and I tell them, I go, I'm just the messenger. You did the work. I didn't. Own it. It's yours. So it's wonderful.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
nice to be alive, and especially now for us to witness this huge awakening of the world.
Well, it's definitely that.
Mm-hmm.
And
We're having a
it's
hard
just,
time with it.
I know there's a lot of people having some hard times with it,
Mhm, mhm.
but it's been just this piece of the journey with the anthology, with um, the different authors that are in it, and the diversity of it, because you kind of talk about the diverse and how each of us is unique, and that's central to everything I talk about in terms of moving beyond boxes, because we
Yes.
get stuck in these boxes, and the minute somebody learns something about you, you let something slip, or you say something and they glam onto that little sliver that doesn't even identify who you are,
Mm-hmm.
but they've put you in the box that's got that label on it, and they pick from a subset of whatever will fit the narrative that they want to then paint everybody as being the same,
Mm-hmm.
when number one, they're not the same. Everybody in that box is as diverse as the country.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you think they're all leaning one way or the other, it's like, no, they're actually about as diverse as the rest of the country. And many of them, they don't even belong in that box. The only reason they're there is because of this sliver that doesn't even define who they are.
Mm-hmm. That's 100% true. You hit a very, very important point, and that's identity. We are sometimes forced, just like you couldn't have said it better. We are assigned roles sometimes. Oh, well, that friend of yours, she's always late. Oh, you're always this way. Or, oh, that's just you. And you sit there and you're like, you unconsciously, which is our driving, you unconsciously step in that role for that person every time. And but yet you go to work and you're a different person. And you go here, you're a different person. And then you come back into the circle that you're accustomed to or that you grew up with, and you step into this role and you're like, why do I do this every time I'm with them? Because they put the stage and they told you your role, and you one day said, ooh, okay, I'll step in that role. And then try changing that role with that group of people. And you will see the disruption. And then they'll get mad at you and they're like, what is wrong with you? What are you trying to change? What are you trying to be better than us? There's this almost animosity because you're shifting on them. You actually open the lid of that box and you're like, I want a different role. No, you can't have a different role. So your true identity, sometimes we don't even know what it is because we've been so conditioned to believe what we're not. And
Exactly.
and there could be times in your life where you make these really good leaps and bounds towards success and towards your goals, and somebody who's similar in the same group as you who didn't do the work and isn't as successful as you, well, they're also going to want to tear you down and put you back in that box, screaming, kicking, whatever. They want to put you back in that box. And the one thing I tell people is don't play into that. And when someone does say something to you that is not all right, the best thing to do is say, what makes you say that to me? Don't say, never ask a question with why. Unless it's, there's certain questions you should ask with why. But normally, normally don't. And try to reframe. Usually ask what makes you say that, or who says that, or how do you do that? And the reason I say that is I did a study with a bunch of my clients. And when I came in with the question, why? Well, why did you yell at your mom? Right? 100 reasons. She this, she that, she this, blame, blame, complain. And I said, well, okay. Then I asked, what made you yell at your mom? And there's a pause because the brain no longer has to defend, doesn't go into flight and fight. It goes into, oh, that's a question. I gotta think about that. So then they think about it. Well, I was angry. What made you angry? Well, I didn't get my way. What was that way that you wanted to get? Like, you go down that little path, and before
Right.
you know it, you don't have to point at them. They self analyze by answering their own answers, and they're like, well, I made her mad. Well, there we go. So let's talk about that instead of this. So, if we try, words are so powerful. That's why, they could put spells, right? When you keep saying the same thing. What was that test they did with two plants? And one plant, they said all bad things to it, and it was just like all negative, negative, negative. And the other one, every morning, everyone's like, oh, you're beautiful and you're wonderful and you're so nice. And that one eventually started to die off. Well, words are powerful, and that's why it's called spelling. And sometimes we need to know how to communicate, And my kids, oh my God, I think I finally, not always successful, but finally, because they would say, oh, I hate doing that. I'm like, I'm sorry, you don't like doing that? No, I hate doing. Change that. Why do you want me? I really hate it. I understand that. However, when you say I hate doing that, look at your face. But when you say, well, I don't like doing that, you're just stating what you don't like. I go, and your poor body isn't going into, it's just like stating what it doesn't like instead of, well, I don't like, I hate that. Let the cells breathe. Let the cells be peaceful, be kind. So they're getting there. They're doing much better in front of me anyway. I don't know what they do outside of me.
Well, when you talk about that, it's like the first thing I think of with that, and my grandfather was a Lutheran pastor, so one of the first things I think of is there's a spot in the Bible where basically to hate is to want something dead or someone dead. So if you take it at that level, it causes it, when I keep that thought, it causes me to think about when I use it, because I will still use it, but then I try to make sure that it's more appropriately used.
There you go.
And then in terms of the why, that was my dad. That was one of my mistakes was working for him for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was in construction. And when I would suggest, it's like, why don't we look at doing these kind of projects? It would be why. Okay, I get that. I would give a response to that. Why? That was about when I only went through like one or two of those type of conversations and never talked to him about it again.
There you go.
To him, why was a conversation. And to me, it was like, I'm done. You don't care.
Yeah, there you go. And he may not have even known. I mean, how many of us knew until we learned, right? We don't know. And and I'm right there with you. My father, European, very strict, very tough, and living, moving here, he still had had a very heavy accent. And one day he says to me, look at these mortgage papers. I'm like 16 years old. I'm like, I don't know what these are. Like I have no idea. And he's like,
Right.
what do you don't know? Don't you speak English? I go, well, yes. Don't you go to school? Yes. Well, if I spoke English, I'd be the president of the United States. And I'm like, that's not how it works, But he would always go, well, why? And like you said, you clam up. You're like, I feel like you're attacking me, and I feel uncomfortable sharing with you because I don't think you are listening, And trust me, the first thing, sometimes my kids will ask me things and I'm like, why would you do that? You're sitting there going, why? So, you're like, okay, you're the parent, collect yourself and say, so tell me a little more about that. Well, mom, I would. And as you walk them through, yes, it does take longer. Those are the other things. Everybody wants it now, It does take you through a longer process. I probably have to ask 10 questions to get to the result. But guess what? Your client or whoever you're helping, they're going to get to that end result on their own by answering with their own answers. And through that process, the brain self goes, ooh, I don't really think I didn't do that anymore. And then when you get to that moment, that's the aha moment. And now you got to frame that masterpiece and you go, wow, look at you. I didn't even think of that. That's a great way to assess that. I'm glad you decided not to do that. And then they're like, what? because they thought I'd say no, or, resist. And then they're going to come back and fight me with a whole bunch of reasons. So that's the pleasure of psychology, and watching people's process to really come to their own realization, to come to their own power, and when you see that light bulb go on, you're like, there we are, we have success. I used to laugh because my approach when I was younger, we're learning, words are important. And I always used to say, some people I just, those glow sticks, I go, I wish I could snap them, shake them so the light comes on. Just listen. But, calm, talking, and evolving ourselves. We're always learning, be kind to yourselves too, wherever you are and whatever stage you are in your life, and whatever's happening, whatever, challenge is presented itself on your doorstep. Just understand it's not happening to you. You're not a victim. It's happening for you. It is giving you indication where you need to grow. It's giving you indication what skills you need to raise. It's giving you indication that through this challenge, and if you do it with, I'm ready to learn. And I always tell everyone, embrace the suck. Trust me, it sucks, but embrace it, right? And learn from it, because guess what? You will be able to come from a different mindset, from a different state of mind, because you'll be looking for solutions, and you won't be complaining about, oh, look what happened to me, poor me. No one likes to go to pity parties. No one's going to come join you. After a while, people are going to go, oh, okay, I ain't going there. She's not going to wake up. He's just not, he just wants to be there. So
Right.
embrace the suck, find solutions, and then guess what? You get the freedom to get yourself out of that cage, and you get the blessing to help others that have similar situations. I mean, this book is amazing because not only is it one book, but you have all these authors with all different challenges and situations that they had to overcome, and what got them to that, right at the breakdown, right across the threshold is the breakthrough. And
Yep.
it's amazing to see people, how they think of it, how they come up with it. So sharing your knowledge, your experience, your challenges, your traumas on how you overcome certain, aspects of the challenges that come your way is a gift that you can give others. So it's very, very important to be able to do that.
And that's one of the things I love about that book is the way I described it. The way I always describe it now is, and I'm sure I'm going to do it with the next one as well. You've got however many authors are in the book, you've got that many souls contributing to the book.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you do the book right, and that's what I love about the way CJ, she started it this way, and I'm like, yeah, this is the best way to do it. She puts the stories in an order to be a story.
Yeah.
So it's not individual authors. It's not the let's put them in alphabetical because then it's fair to everybody. Or let's first come, first serve, and you're the first one, so you get first chapter. Or I'm the one that created this, so I get the first chapter, or I get whatever chapter I want, kind of deal. It's like, no. Look at the story. Look at what everybody has done, because you can start grouping them into individual stories, and those souls will create the soul of the book. And at the same time, the soul of that book, you can make an argument that it is more than the soul of all the individuals, and you can make a case that it's less than the soul of each individual.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true. No, it was an amazing exercise, because I think each and every one of us, despite the fact that that's our story, part of our journey that happened, I'm sure that through that writing, we all came to even more awareness,
Exactly.
Some maybe even got healing through it. Some maybe just now healed. We don't know. So it's just amazing to be able to be part of something like that.
Actually, I'm lucky enough to know that I know some of the authors who did have that healing,
That's
that
awesome.
that piece of the journey, and a couple of them that I had the privilege to do the editing with. It was I'm glad you wrote this stuff down. Now let's just tone it a little bit more for public consumption.
Right.
Which to me, and I think I told them, it really is important that you wrote all of that down because you needed to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
You felt vulnerable enough that you were willing to publish it because you gave it to me saying, here's my chapter. And that means that what I'm receiving, yes, you're expecting me to help make it better, or if it's great, then just little tweaks here and there. But you were willing to put that out into the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. We can remove some of this. We can leave the intention without spilling the details. Uh, and that works. And sometimes, and for some of them, the way I looked at it is it actually made it better when you didn't fill in the blank.
Right.
You leave it open, let the reader take it where they want to go. Because as I'm thinking about it right now, the reader may take it someplace that you wouldn't have, but they'll take it someplace that they need to take it
There you go.
for their own healing.
Exactly. That is well said. I agree with you. I mean, I wrote mine and it was forever long. I'm like, oh my God, this is too long. They're going to kill me. And then when you look at it, you're like, no, they don't need to know what my dog's name is. They just need to know I had a dog, right? And whatever relevancy it had in the story. So when we removed all that, and then, you read the final product and you're like, wow, at one point when I was reading my own, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, I felt like I was reading somebody else's experience. So I actually was able to see it from a different perspective. When you make it too personal with names and this and that, sometimes it gets lost. And the whole point of this anthology work was to share with people the challenge, the trauma, the circumstance, and how other human beings handled to overcome it. And that's really what it is, because we don't know what the reader is experiencing. We don't know what state
No.
the reader's in. So to be able to capture their attention and capture their curiosity, and at the end, with all hope, giving them some tools and maybe clues or maybe even insight to make them believe there's a possibility for them too to overcome their situation.
Well, that's the approach that we're taking with all of these. Because
That's
this
awesome.
one, okay, she doesn't have it on the back of that, but this is her volume 1. So
Mhm.
there will be more. And the
Mhm.
one that we're getting ready to start, it's the same thing. It's that same process.
That's awesome.
Everything, we've basically got this system down. We know how many authors we can work with. We know how many cats we can herd. We know how fast we are. We work well together because we think very much alike.
That's wonderful.
And that's why this process, we're just gonna, the next one, which is why we announced it today, because we finalized the title last night.
Oh, what is it?
It's going to be, I still have to look at it because number one, you're going to realize I'll start thinking about everything, because the next one is moving beyond boxes, the journey to self-discovery.
Ooh.
And we're beyond everything. Beyond boundaries, beyond boxes. I talk about move beyond boxes. So I know what's going to happen over the next month. I'm going to be thinking consciously which one am I talking about so I say it correctly.
That's right. Well, that's great. Do we, at previous offers, do we have the opportunity to join again?
The way it works, it's still $500, but if you've been in one of our books, which this one counts,
Mm-hmm.
then it's $100 discount.
Nice.
And then those who are members of the Hounds, they get a $50 discount, but they do not get to combine if they did both. Like, you
There
get
you go.
one or the other.
Everyone.
And there will be a few other things, but we are
Wonderful.
now putting it in place, and we are excited to get it rolling.
That is
And and,
amazing. Yeah. Because you know what?
and
We all
this
have other life happenings that we can share.
and this time it's me in the lead instead of her. So it's like it's the
Oh,
same
nice.
team. We're doing the same thing. Um, she's the most more outgoing one. I'm the quieter one, so I will definitely be relying on her to help me where it's like either she's telling me you need to be more active here, or it's like just go ahead, sis, just go ahead. We know how to herd the cats. We do it in our own ways. We got this.
You know how I see the two of you? I see you both. I see you being grounded, meaning, as we know, CJ, she's all over the place and amazing and wonderful. And sometimes, trust me, and you can tell by how I speak too, I'm kind of like that too. We need the grounding balance.
Yeah.
We need someone. And then you also need someone to go, step it up. You can do this. Like, you got to make this happen. You got to, and you're like, but no, 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 no. Wait, we're going to miss this point. So I think that team is excellent. I have goosebumps. I think you two make a wonderful team because of those two different ways of looking at things. Because if you were both the same, can you imagine? It wouldn't work. It'd be like, oh, we're waiting to launch. We're on the launch pad. Or, oh my God, we launched too soon. Now we got to go rework. But you actually are a very good team. You weaved it so well, coming from outside in, that we had to, you guys were guiding us. You were both guiding us what to do. And I was so grateful. There was times I'm like, oh no, what to do. And you ladies did such a wonderful job to not make anybody feel like, oh my God, I'm telling you again. Really? I have to tell you again. You kind of went, okay, let's look at this one more time. So you made it very a pleasant experience. You made it where you allowed each author to be their authentic self, where you didn't put us in a box. You actually gave us the free range to do what we needed to do. You told us the limit. Obviously, you're not going to write 500 pages. You gave us a limit because it needs to be controlled. But we were able to really be ourselves. And then hence when you mentioned, we might not want to share that with the public. Like, we were so open with you ladies that we didn't hide anything, which was wonderful. So kudos to both of you. You did a phenomenal job making us feel very comfortable to come in to do it.
Thanks.
Wow.
It's been a great journey, and like we're over our hour, which
Oh,
I get used to.
okay. Well,
Um,
good, unless
yeah,
there's
like
any.
we probably should close it up because it's great with everybody who's been here, who's been in the comments. I loved having you on. You've got such a great energy.
Thank you for having me.
And I would love for you to have any kind of a final golden nuggets you might want to drop. And then just make sure to leave the how people can get a hold of you.
Perfect. Golden nugget, start something new. Start something new to change the trajectory that you're on right now if things aren't working. Get up and, maybe get up at 5 a.m., something you don't normally do, and let yourself write and see what comes out. And then listen to your true self, because that's your true self. And always go from the gut. Always make your decisions from there, because our gut knows the way. But and to get a hold of me, it's just very simple. It's my name, JacquelleneLukich.com. That's my website. And you can go on there and you can reach me there if you need any questions or if you want to talk. It'd be great if you need any help. I do have on there a complimentary discovery call. No charge to you. It's just something we can sit and talk, see where you're at. If you want to do that, that'd be great too. But take a look at my website and see if something resonates.
Awesome. It was so great having you.
Oh, thank you,
So great
Suzanne.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. And so for everybody, it's like, thank you for being here, and I will see you next week. And just have a wonderful weekend coming up as we close out this month of March.
Crazy.
And take care. Bye.
Bye.